There is a specific moment in the life of every person who tries to build something different. More money, more freedom, a bigger life. When the people who love them the most become the biggest obstacle they face. Not strangers, not enemies. The people who raised them, believed in them, shaped everything they are. By the end of this video, you will understand the invisible mechanism behind that collision, and why ignoring it is the single most expensive mistake you will ever make. You know exactly what this feels like. You share a new idea, a business, an investment, a plan to stop trading time for a paycheck, and the room shifts. Someone says that's risky. Someone else says just be grateful for what you have. And the worst part is not the words. The worst part is that you can see they mean it. They are not trying to hurt you. They genuinely believe they are protecting you. And somehow, that makes it harder to push forward than any rejection from a stranger ever could. What makes this so devastating is how long it stays invisible. You don't lose money in one dramatic moment. You lose it slowly, in every conversation where you talked yourself back into playing small. Every opportunity you delayed because someone you trusted looked nervous. Every version of yourself you quietly abandoned to keep the peace at the dinner table. This is not a story about bad families. This is a story about a pattern so deeply human that almost no one escapes it without understanding what it actually is. The most common advice is also the most destructive. Just cut them off. Build walls. Protect your vision at all costs. And some people do exactly that. They disappear into their ambition, burn every bridge, and call it growth. But here's what the hustle culture crowd will never tell you. Isolation does not produce wealth. It produces a different kind of poverty, one you feel in your chest at 2 a.m. when the numbers look good, but the phone has been silent for months. The answer is not distance. It never was. Here's the thing nobody in personal finance talks about because it does not fit neatly on a spreadsheet. The friction you feel from the people closest to you is not random. It is not jealousy. It is not small-mindedness. There is a precise psychological reason this keeps happening, and it has nothing to do with how much they love you or how much potential you have. It has everything to do with identity. Specifically, whose identity is threatened when you start to change. And when you finally see it clearly, everything shifts. Every family is a system. And like every system, it has a built-in drive to maintain equilibrium. From the moment you were born, the people around you taught you who you were, your role, your limits, your place in the hierarchy. That identity became a load-bearing wall in their emotional architecture too. When you start earning differently, thinking differently, moving differently, you are not just changing yourself. You are structurally threatening their entire model of who they are relative to you. Your growth becomes their instability. That is the mechanism. That is what you are actually fighting. Studies in family systems theory show that when one member begins to significantly outperform the group's established norm, financially, socially, intellectually, the group unconsciously applies pressure to restore the original dynamic. Researchers call it homeostatic pull. But you don't need a research paper to recognize it. You see it every time someone succeeds and their family starts calling them arrogant. Every time a first-generation wealth builder gets told they've changed. The message underneath is always the same. Come back to where we can still recognize you. Here is where the financial stakes become undeniable. Research on intergenerational wealth consistently shows that one of the strongest predictors of long-term financial success is not income, not education, not even discipline. It is the ability to maintain close relationships while simultaneously operating from a completely different financial identity than the people around you. The people who build lasting wealth learn to love the same people without inheriting their fear of money. That is the skill. Not hustle, not sacrifice. The ability to remain connected while becoming someone new. Here is the reframe that changes everything. The people resisting your growth are not your problem. They are your mirror. Every fear they project onto your decisions is a fear that was once installed inside you too. When your father says the investment is too risky, you are not hearing his opinion. You are hearing the voice you already had before you started questioning it. Your work is not to fight them or flee them. Your work is to recognize which of their voices you have been treating as your own, and consciously choose which ones deserve to stay. Principle 1. Separate the person from the programming. The people who shaped your beliefs about money were not wrong to believe what they believed. They were products of their own circumstances, their own fears, their own eras. A parent who grew up poor and preaches job security is not your enemy. They are giving you the best map they had for the terrain they survived. Your job is to honor the map maker without using an outdated map. You can love the source completely while deliberately choosing a different destination. Those two things are not in conflict. Principle 2. Build your reference group before you need it. One of the most quietly powerful decisions any wealth builder makes is not a financial product, not an investment strategy. It is the deliberate construction of a social environment where their new identity is normal, not better, not superior, normal. When you surround yourself with people who take financial risk seriously, who read, who invest, who fail and adapt, your nervous system starts treating those behaviors as default. The people who hold you back lose authority, not because you fought them, but because your baseline shifted. Principle 3. Lead with compassion, not correction. The single biggest mistake people make after a mindset shift is trying to fix the people they love. You learn something about compound interest, and suddenly you need everyone at Thanksgiving to understand index funds. It does not work. It never works. It creates resistance, resentment, and the exact distance you were trying to avoid. The most powerful thing you can do is model. Build quietly. Let the results speak. People don't change because they were argued into it. They change because they saw someone they loved living proof of a different possibility. Now here is where people derail themselves. Mistake 1. They intellectualize the shift without doing the emotional work. They understand the concept but still feel a physical anxiety response every time they spend on growth instead of security, and they cannot figure out why nothing is changing. Mistake 2. They confuse boundaries with rejection and overcorrect into coldness. The relationship suffers, the guilt compounds, and they secretly start associating their ambition with loss. The identity shift is not a one-time event. It is a practice. And the people who succeed at it treat every difficult conversation as data, not as judgment. Here is what you do starting this week. Day 1. Write down the 3 money beliefs you heard most often growing up, not to judge them, to see them clearly. Day 3. Identify one financial behavior you have been avoiding because it would feel like betraying someone's worldview. Name it. Schedule it. Week 2. Find one community, online, local, anywhere, where the financial identity you are building is already normal for the people in it. Observe before you speak. And every time someone close to you pushes back on a decision, ask yourself, whose fear am I actually hearing right now? Here is the question I want to leave you with, and I want you to think about this honestly. Is there a financial decision you have been delaying, not because you lack the money or the knowledge, but because making it would permanently change how someone who loves you sees you? Because if the answer is yes, that is not a financial problem. That is an identity problem. And now you know exactly what it is. The real question is not whether you can afford to make that move. The real question is whether you can afford to keep waiting for permission from someone who was never given it themselves.